The Gary Lineker story doesn't seem to have stopped. Suella Braverman's husband has now come out in support of his wife, saying that he tried to stay out of the debate surrounding his wife's policies. His wife is today announcing a crackdown on child abuse, and anybody who works with children and suspects child abuse now will have a mandatory duty to report it. I don't know how much funding there will be to increase to counter the serious increase in the workload of social services and police as a result of this. But it's a good move and builds on Sarah's law. I think, on the other hand, the report on Rael Braverman's comments is unnecessary. He points out that he was upset about images of his wife standing outside concentration camps, including Auschwitz, laughing. He says, "I'm Jewish, I lost my family members in these concentration camps. I find that offensive." Well, I don't think that was the responsibility of Gary Lineker. I was disgusted, he says. "Personally, I think making comparisons between our politicians and our country and Nazi Germany is intellectually lazy." Not necessarily. And when you have public figures doing that, you kind of legitimize the abuse, making it acceptable. It really minimizes the horror that went on. It's disrespectful to the Holocaust survivors and to those who lost family members in the concentration camps. And that includes my family. But of course, there were parallels made by a concentration camp survivor, and Suella Braverman failed to answer those questions or that point at a meeting in her own constituency. So I think her husband's intervention at this point, and the reference to Judaism, the reference to trying to have a happier debate, trying to have a more reasoned debate. Yes, of course, we want a more reasoned debate. But Gary Lineker was making a perfectly valid point, that the language which is being used is reminiscent of the 1930s. I think he was wrong in saying that the language is reminiscent of 1930s Germany. It was, but it was also reminiscent, it is also reminiscent of 1930s Britain, and indeed 1909 Britain. I think that a recognition of the value of the past is good, and there shouldn't be any part of the past which is off limits. And we must make sure that we don't tread too closely to areas which are morally repugnant. They're morally repugnant for a reason. We mustn't go back to them. We must be very careful in the ways that we use language and the laws that we enact against people who appeal to us for help.